Live 95.1 presents Youth on the Rise. Youth on the Rise. A radio show by the youth for the youth. Join your hosts Craige, Hardel and Tania, Elias as we shed light on pertinent topics at the cornerstone of our lives and our nation. Tune in to hear our guests every Monday night from 8 to 9 p.m. as we impart knowledge and guidance to our listeners. Don't forget, every Monday night from 8 to 9 p.m. on Live 95.1 FM. Youth on the Rise. Good evening, listeners from Hardel, St.Lucia, and online. Welcome to another episode of Youth on the Rise. I am your host, Craige Hardel, and with me tonight, my co-host, Miss Tania, Elias. And this evening, we are going to touch on the topic of bullying. How to handle bullying. Miss Elias?
Good evening, listeners. Welcome to the show, Youth on the Rise. It's a pleasure again to be with you on a Monday. I hope you sit back, relax, and of course, don't forget we always welcome your contribution.
Now, when you look at bullying, bullying is, to put it simply, a big problem because many lives are affected by it, many lives can be affected by it, and even when the ordeal is over, you find that people still feel the impacts. The repercussions are still there. Okay? So this evening segment will be a really interesting one, listeners. And we really look forward to your contribution and your participation in our discussion as well. Now let's begin. Now, to start us off, what is bullying? Again, when we refer to bullying, when we refer to a bully, refer to someone who uses their superior strength or influence to intimidate somebody, typically to force him or her to do what he or she wants. Again, I repeat, someone who uses superior strength to influence or intimidate somebody, typically to force him or her to do what he or she wants. What do you think about that?
Okay, listeners, again, as Mr. Hardel rightly said, this is a very, very serious issue that is affecting a lot of us, and that is why we need to understand what it is. And Mr. Hardel has just given you the definition of a bully, the person himself or herself. Now, bullying, I know the whole topic is about bullying, and you might be asking what really is bullying. And bullying is actually a form of aggressive behavior in which someone intentionally and repeatedly causes another person injury or discomfort. Now we really have to understand this definition. There are some key terms we need to pull out of this definition. First of all, you bullying, the behavior must be aggressive and
it has to be repeated. It has to be done repeatedly. And what really is the intention of that aggressive behavior? It is basically to cause discomfort to someone, to make the person feel bad, to cause injury. So if somebody intentionally has this aggressive behavior to you and towards you, and it is being done repeatedly, and that person has intention to make you feel uncomfortable and experience some level of discomfort, this says that bullying is happening.
Now, with that said, we are going to look at the kinds of bullying. Again, bullying isn't only physical. There are many other kinds. There are many other forms in which it exists and in which it is done. Again, firstly, we'll look at the one that most people know and relate to, which is a physical form of bullying. So we have things like people using physical force, okay? So kicking, punching, pinching, whatever form of forceful impingement on another, that is considered a physical form of bullying. Again, things like tripping, damaging property, hitting somebody, that again, these again are examples of physical bullying. Again, we're going to look at it on the verbal side. Again, name calling, insults, teasing, intimidation, homophobic or racist remarks, also verbal abuse. So that's
Okay, stealing somebody's property is also considered as bullying. So, for example, I don't know whether you've looked at the high school movies. I think that's, or the movies where children are in school. I think most of the times that is what you tend to see. The bigger one, the giants, taking advantage of the smaller one. And it's like, this child has a book or this child has lunch, and then you just grab it from the child like it belongs to you. Or you send the child out to get it for you. So it's a level of, it's also entails stealing something that does not belong to you as well. So when you look at the physical bullying, it, and as Mr. Hardel rightly said, it's about, if you look at the physical part of your physical, it means that you're causing injury to that person's physical being. There is also the emotional bullying. Again, we know that emotional, the root word emotion, of course, it has to do with our feelings, how we, and most of the times you want to hurt people's feelings by the remarks that you made. I think you mentioned it, Mr. Hardel. You know, I mean, yes, it's like you look at the person's physical appearance and you know that saying that the person is ugly, or saying that the person's hair is short, or saying that you know that this is going to touch the person and you want to hit it where it actually hurts. And of course, there are lots of persons, the malicious comments that we make out there as well. This is also a form of bullying. Gossiping is also a form of bullying. Anybody who has been gossiped about, you know that when you are told that you are gossiped about, it actually hurts you. It touches the core. So again, if you do not know when people gossip about you is bullying, I'm saying you this evening that gossiping is bullying.
form of bullying. And I want to touch on the last two examples when you speak of verbal bullying. Again, homophobia, very, very hot one these days. Because people's preferences, and sad to say, the influence of certain things like religion, even on decisions that are made, are declining. And you find people pushing for equal rights, for example, gay marriage. Right? Again, we just saw on the news earlier that most countries have already legalized it. And sooner or later, the pressure is going to come on smaller nations like ours, on other surrounding territories, to follow that line. And it just shows you how really, again, moral values influencing all policies and decisions, that influence is going down. And even what we believe is right, or what we think is right, the influence that that has is declining. And with all those changes, we have to learn to respect people's rights, to respect their viewpoints, not discriminate against them, because they are people and we have to embrace that.
Mr. Hardel, I like the fact that you mentioned the whole concept of being gay, because most of the times when people don't understand, or maybe you're really not interested in what's happening, you're not for what's happening, you tend to use that against people. Because I've heard so many times that because a gentleman dresses neatly, that in order to, yes, you notice that the gentleman dresses neatly and he walks, with pride. All of a sudden, to take that kind, you can see somebody of pride and high self-esteem. So it's like you want to take something away from him, and you want to use, hey, look at you, you're CC and you're gay. So I'm saying the fact that you mentioned that is very interesting, because people tend to use those things, to actually bully others.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, they use their ignorance in terms of how the times are changing, culturally, what is accepted, what is the norm, what is perceived as gay. It's changing. Again, when you speak of men making a big effort to be neat, even like some women are, again, commonly a lot of gay people, they have that trait, but it doesn't mean that other people don't have it
Exactly.
as well. And the other side of this is that if women spend so much time or make so much of an effort to really ensure that they are neat, why wouldn't men have the
Exactly.
same position? Right? So it's just a shift of perspective, and most people haven't caught that yet. So they use what they've been predisposed to, what they know, to impinge judgment upon others, and that sometimes causes a lot of harm. Okay? Now, next, we want to touch on another form of bullying, which is quite prevalent, and especially in our current age of technology and information traveling really quickly over wide distances. Cyberbullying really has taken a hold. Again, cyberbullying is simply discrimination and abuse online, to put it simply. Again, that could take the form of abusive or hurtful texts, emails or posts, images or videos of people. It need not be anything pornographic, but something defamatory, right? That could be a form of bullying as well. An instance where you're doing that, trying to bring the person down, or trying to have a certain incident or event or circumstance misinterpreted by the public to really bring the person's reputation down. That is a form of bullying. And also, we have things like nasty gossip, rumors. Again, people use social media to spread a lot of gossip. I mean, people gossip a lot. It's a fact. As much as people don't want to believe it, as much as people don't want to admit it, but it's the truth. People gossip a lot, and social media is commonly used for that as well. Next, we have identity theft and imitating others, say on a social media site, pretending to be somebody else, acquiring the login information, and really using that time or that opportunity to really harm the person, their reputation, their brand, their self image. Okay? So that is another form of cyberbullying.
Yes, the cyberbullying, of course, is a very, very serious issue these days, of course, as Mr. Hardel said, with technology, and it happens online all the time through your emails. I don't think Mr. Hardel mentioned that. Your social networking sites, your blogs, and everything else. And you might get excited and you might want to post your picture, but some persons, as you were persons, I think it's a whole concept of being jealous or trying, by God, when you bully persons, it's like you want to try to bring them down, and you see somebody flourishing, you see somebody looking beautiful, it's like, I don't look as hot and I don't get so many posts. It means that let me try to find a way to bring that person down. However, unfortunately, a lot, especially young people, a lot of young persons have committed suicide because of that. So parents, persons who are listening, cyberbullying is a very, very, very serious form of bullying.
Yeah, very, very much so. Again, all forms of bullying
Yes.
are bad, and they all should be discouraged. Everyone has a right to their freedom of expression, yes. However, you shouldn't be using that to defame or harm others. Okay? Now, next, now that you've covered the kinds of bullying, I also want to touch on certain hidden acts that people do or engage in that can also be considered bullying. Again, yes, they may seem small, however, they may go a long way in influencing a particular decision that is important to somebody, how someone is perceived by others, someone's social status, whether someone is accepted by a group. Okay. Again, simple traits like lying and spread rumors about people. You know how some people love to do that? It's almost like they do it for fun. So you find they're like looking for something that is wrong with somebody, so just spray it out like wildfire. And the funny thing is that they actually know that they're doing that. That's the worst thing. I mean, sometimes things go out and people think that it's true, and that end up not being the case. However, there are people who will do that intentionally,
Yeah, and the damage has already been done.
and that is the most hurtful of them all. Again, when you have things like negative facial or physical gestures, sometimes trying to make someone look bad, trying to make them look awkward, trying to ridicule them in front of others, that is quite bad as well. Also, again, really nasty jokes at others in an effort to humiliate them, in an effort to embarrass them. That is actually an example of bullying as well. Again, like I said a while ago, also damaging someone's social reputation, someone's social status through comments that are made, and also through actions that people take. Okay, so if you're the one, if you're the bully, and you try to do it in a very smart way, again, people think that bullying is just hitting somebody or sending some form of vitriol at them, but that's not always the case. It sometimes is very subtle and very incipient. Okay, in other words, little things that people do, and yes, it may seem normal, but in the long run, it doesn't really. They know what they're doing, and you don't really see how they're trying to bring you down, but you see it after a while. Again, some people are very picky, and some people know how to manipulate others. So these kinds of people really, really need to be looked out for, and you need to guard yourself against such people. Now, we are going to touch on the mind of a bully. What makes a bully? Why would someone want to bully another person? Again, we are not experts here. We are not experts. We are not experts. However, one thing that I would like to say is that, or rather, according to my research, most people who are bullies, again, not only children, but most of the times
Yes, adults.
they are children, come from abusive childhoods. So these people may have been abused in some way or form, okay, be it physical, emotional, verbal, sexual. So, but there was some pattern of abuse which led to that behavior. Again, that abuse causes them to not be able to control their emotions, and also to not be able to control their actions. Okay? And they not being able to control their emotions and their actions causes them to try to control the emotions and actions of others. So that is where the link comes in. Again, you find somebody who has been in an abusive relationship, childhood, and really loses that ability to control their emotions and actions. Okay, so they're dependent on someone else for self-esteem, or they really have been damaged psychologically, and they try to impinge that hurt, that damage, what they've lost, try to impinge it on others and make them look bad and take out their frustrations on others. So that is my version of what actually causes someone to become a bully.
Yes, Mr. Hardel, I agree totally with what you are saying. Persons, well, young persons, adults, persons from broken homes, sorry, they tend to target persons that they realize that person, although you might be from a broken home,
Yeah.
however, you appear that, hey, I'm well put together and things are okay at my home. It's like they want to, yes, you have it, you have what I want, so I'm going to take it away from you. So it ended that you don't have it, I don't have it. You're at the same level that I'm at. It's like you're trying to bring the person down with you. I also believe that low self-esteem is one of the biggest reasons for bullying. I don't feel good about myself. I have nothing to. I don't feel worthy. So it means that I have to make somebody else feel bad about themselves. If I don't feel good about myself, I'm going to pick on a child over there and make him. And also, when somebody sees that you look weak, your physical appearance, how you carry yourself,
Yes,
it's
yes,
like,
yes.
okay, here's the victim. Come. If you notice, especially on those high school movies, and again, I'm going back to that, most of the times they portray the bullies as being those very tall boys, and the those little tiny ones, they tend to pick on them. That is because they want to look like the stronger person. So you find that the weaker sex, well, those we believe are the weaker sex, these are the persons who tend to be bullied. Because obviously it makes sense. If Mr. Hardel looks like he's a tough man, I will not approach him. Because I know that he can attack me. I look for somebody that I know I can, as you said earlier on, that I can control, that I can manipulate.
Yeah. And also, again, as you said, normally socially awkward children are targeted. Okay, so children who are not necessarily popular. Why are they targeted? They're targeted because the bully normally assumes that that person has no friends, no peers. So if they're in trouble, if they're being bullied, no one will come to help them.
You make bullying sound like it's very investigative, like you have to carry out your research and.
And that is just one
Yes.
one way to see it.
Yes.
Again, because think of it, you're in a new situation. Say you're at a new school, and again, let's say you're not as affluent as the others, so you kind of stand out in the sense that you're not like everybody else. And people seeing that and recognizing that, they'll target you because they may assume that you are not very self-confident, and also they may assume that you don't have any friends. So because of that, they'll target you, and most of the time, you will actually become the victim. Now, again, when you look at bullies, sometimes, yes, they may target such people, but we should not ignore the fact that sometimes there are actually people who just bully for the fun of it.
Yes.
There are people, yes, they may have some issues. However, they take pride in doing it, and they do it like it's a hobby. And again, we need to make this distinction clear here. Again, some people do it because they lack in something, and others are more impunitive. They really do it for fun, and these are the kinds of people where even if you have some intervention with them, so they're a little harder to stop.
Since you said fun, I don't know whether it's ever happened to you or whether you remember that big kick me that people when
Oh.
you went to school they always had this big kick me and
Yeah, I
they would
remember.
kick it. So would we consider this an act of bullying and bullies having fun? Yeah, because you were not aware and everybody would laugh and have make a mockery out of you. So
Interesting.
And of course, some persons will actually kick you.
Yes, I remember. Yeah, people who actually do it, and yes, it's inappropriate. Again, it is because you need to look at those people who actually stick those things.
Yes.
They do it because they want to see you kicked, right?
Yes.
And again, yes, that may be a playful situation somewhat, but again, there are times where people put you in situations just for a known aggressor to go at you.
Or you'd stick on that gum they have in their mouths and get all sticky. And to me, I
Yeah.
believe these were actually signs of bullying
Yeah.
and
Again, these
actions.
are little pranks where really someone most of the time is trying to get back at you, or really trying to hurt you in some way. Again, you see the gum. I mean,
Humiliation.
no one likes gum on their clothing.
Mhm.
Right? It's a bit humiliating, to say the least. Now, again, listeners, it's about time now. Our phone lines are open. Also, you can reach us on WhatsApp. Again, the number to reach us is 714-5574. Again, the number to join our discussion and contribute to our lively and interesting talk is 714-5574. You can also reach us on WhatsApp as well. Now, the other segments of this program that I want to focus on is how to actually tackle the problem of bullying. Again, we've broken it down, we've explained the types, examples, and how, or rather the makeup of a bully. But now, really want to zero in on how to deal with it and the different areas and walks of life where it's prevalent and how to really act to extirpate that problem. Firstly, again, bullying happens in many places. Again, children are given a lot of sympathy, but it's not only something for the young. It happens among adults as well. Again, in various forms. Again, even at work. Again, you find people really taking certain courses of action just to get at you in a very sneaky way and indirect way. Sometimes even directly. People are just, especially when someone despises you and you find that their actions are unreasonable repeatedly, that can be considered another form of bullying. Again, at work, say someone threatens you, someone really tries to put your life at risk, try to put you in danger. Okay, say someone brandishes a firearm at you. That is an example of bullying at work. Okay, and many a times these things go unchecked. However, the victim most of the time ends up being damaged. Again, a threat can hurt people. Okay, it's hurtful most of the time, and also it shouldn't be taken lightly. So again, when you threatened, say someone tells you something really bad, that is why you advise to go to the police, because whether or not that threat is acted upon or not acted upon, the intent has already been expressed, and the intent to pursue that particular course of action is already there. All right. Now also we have in the community. Okay, so say you're not working, or say that again not on an ordinary day you're just out in the community. You need not be a student or attend a institution. Again, you find someone trying to accost you, someone trying to approach physically, fight, a forced fight, someone trying to really take an action to harm others or to harm yourself. So, for example, someone drops a dog at you, alright? Again, someone attacking you physically, be it with an object or just the hands, right? Again, that is an example of bullying. Again, you find sometimes people are not liked, and one one person isn't the only one doing the attacking. Sometimes it's a group. So really, gun violence is prevalent in the community as well, and can also be put on the bullying. Again, especially when you're in an area where you're unknown, or rather in a criminal hotspot per se, these things are common. So these things should be looked out for. Should look out for these things.
Oh, earlier on, Mr. Hardel, you said that the person is supposed, when the bullying happens, the person is supposed to report the case to the police.
Right.
However, before you decide, you choose to report the case to the police. Make sure that you don't misinterpret what's happening. Make sure that you understand that it looks like bullying, because some persons really don't intend to bully you. It happens. I mean, for example, let's look at you walking down an area and you accidentally touch somebody. I don't think this is really going to be bullying. So you have to be very careful. You have to understand that it is bullying. And if you have somebody that you can go to, talk to the person about it first before you take some drastic measure as to going to the police. However, the police should actually be your last course of action.
I very much agree. Again, even if we advise that you report to the police, it doesn't mean that the slightest touch or the slightest bad situation that you run to them immediately. Again, there are several people whom you can speak to.
So let's look at the case of the school. What do you think? What do you think a child should do? The chain of command. Who should the child go to first, then, and then eventually the police?
Well, firstly, you report to your class teacher. You report to your class teacher. Again, if the matter is grave enough, report to the class teacher, may take it to the principal.
Well,
Or you may report it to the counselor. You may want the matter to be confidential and not necessarily want to involve so many parties. So you take that route.
I guess it's a matter of who you feel comfortable with, because some children tell you, Miss, I don't feel comfortable with the counselor, or they see the teacher as the disciplinarian and they don't want to say to the teacher, or maybe your parents. Some parents are quite open, they communicate openly with their children. So it's who you feel comfortable with, and if the problem does not stop, you have gone to administration, then you and your mother will decide to go to the police if there is need to.
Yeah. Again, I very much agree. Now, again, in school, normally it's where bullying is very prevalent. And Silas, one may tell you, shouldn't I fight back? Okay, say someone is trying to push you into a fight, okay, or someone corners you and tries to beat you up. Shouldn't you fight back? What do you think?
Are you sure you want my answer?
Again, before you comment, it's not a straightforward answer though, because sometimes it depends on the situation, and not that you're telling anybody to fight per se, but rather, wouldn't you defend yourself?
Personally, I don't believe the reason why they're picking on you is because you are weak. So I believe you should show the bully that you're as tough as he or she is. That is, again, listeners, that's my personal opinion here.
Again, assertiveness is critical. And one of the solutions to handle bullying, again, is assertiveness. Again, People like to pick on those they know
Yes.
who tolerate it. And when you say no, in no unwavering or uncertain terms, and they understand clearly it's a no, or you won't tolerate that course of action, right? Most times they stop. Okay? And as you said, most of the people picked on are actually weak, and or rather they're perceived as being weak. Alright, I should say that instead. Now you have a WhatsApp message coming in. I agree that always a product of vicious. Let me read that over. I agree that always a product of a vicious abusive cycle. People will always hurt people. Can feel self-worth only through putting
Yes.
one down. Again,
Thank you, caller, so much for your contribution.
again, when one is bullied, again we have to go back to the definition, because a fight is not a bully. Or let me put it properly, if two people willingly, that is, agree to fight at a specified time, that is not bullying.
There would have been something that triggered
Yeah.
the fighting. Maybe you were being bullied and finally you could not take it on, so you decided
My
to
point
retaliate.
my point is that, again, people sometimes really get bullied because their self-confidence is low.
Yes, like the caller was saying. Again,
And-
thank you, caller. Well, WhatsApper.
Really, at times, that makes others think that they're very weak and they can be picked on. Not that it's right. Don't get me wrong at all. Not that it's right. However, we need to learn as people and also teach children to not be so passive and weak and timid as individuals. And when faced in a situation where they have to defend themselves, not necessarily physically, but rather to engage in any act or tolerate any act that is put forth to them, they need to say no and learn to say no very strongly.
Like the WhatsApper said, I honestly believe that it is a vicious cycle, and Mr. Hardel, that needs to be broken. Again, a lot of people, they tend to bully persons because they low self-esteem.
Yeah.
You have low self-esteem, there are so many things that you can do. Listen to motivational tips, do things that will help you develop yourself, that will have persons to praise you. Do something to make yourself feel good. Do not go out there and attack persons and make them feel bad. Kola, I totally agree with you. It's a matter of low self-esteem, and we need to work on our self-esteem instead of destroying others.
Yeah, very much so. And again, in schools, some recommendations to help curb and prevent bullying. Again, strong rules and regulations have to be put in place by school, the administration, to deter any would-be bully from committing such an act, and for even those who do it to stop. And punishments will be harsh so that they're made an example of, and others will follow.
Mr. Hardel, my problem with this is that most of the times persons are being bullied when they're alone. So, for example, a child is next to the washroom. That is when I'm going to pull the child's underwear and hang him up on a tree or something,
Oh, I
because
see.
there's really nobody there to see him. So my approach would be giving the victims, the possible victims, some tools that they can work with, some things that they can do to really handle the bullying. Because as I said, you don't go in front of administration and pull up a child's underwear. And most of the times, the persons being bullied, they're so afraid that they do not report the cases. I know so many children who are being bullied. You call them in and say, "No, miss, he didn't do anything." That's not no, miss. And then, like, it's like they're so scared that they actually defended the persons who are bullying them. So at the end of the day, it's actually providing those persons who are being bullied with the tools that they need to prevent it from happening to them or to reduce it.
I get your point, and that's a value one, listeners. Again, sometimes, especially when the situation is where it's one word against the other, the one, the victim, wouldn't stand that much of a chance. Again, especially when physically it doesn't look convincing. Again, we like to portray bullies as big people, but how do you know that small people don't bully as well?
Lots of them.
Right? Or how do you know? It happens. That's why we're saying it. It happens. So again, sometimes you need a little proof, and it's important that you're able to be smart about it and avert any situation that can put you in a situation where it's one person's word against the other and you don't have any solid proof.
I like the fact that you said you mentioned the situation. So, for example, if you know that every time you pass by the washroom, there's this boy who is going to pull you and pull your underwear, all you have to do is to avoid passing by the washroom. Or if you decide to do this, at least get two persons to walk with you. If the bully realizes that you have 1, 2, 3 persons with you, I doubt he'll want to attack you, because there is the possibility that one of your friends might want to report, or one of your friends might actually attack the bully.
Now, the other one is engaging the parents and the young people as well, the victims. Now, with that in mind, we like to put emphasis on the victim, the one who got bullied. However, the one who does the bullying needs help as well. And one would argue needs just as much help. All right? And an interesting quote to encapsulate this would be by Don Sherwock. And it reads, and it goes like this: bullying is killing our kids. Being different is killing our kids. And the kids who are bullying are dying inside. We have to save our kids, whether they are bullied or they are bullying. They are in pain. Okay? And interesting quote, but the gist of it is that both parties need help. And for there to be an effective solution, again, engaging parents and the young people themselves, the one who did the bullying, the victim, it's important that both of them are engaged and both of them are helped. Because yes, the one who got bullied is adversely affected, is traumatized and whatnot, but the one who did the bullying is suffering some distress as well. Again, it may not be always obvious. It may not be, the person may not want to admit it. But if you go back long enough and you question them enough and you really take some time to delve deep into what the problem is, what's causing them to act that way, you will find something.
And maybe the child who is doing the bullying might have been bullied as well. By a teacher, by a parent, by an older member of the society, who knows? And this is the way he's acting out. So again, I believe that the bully, needs even more help than the person who is being the victim, the person who is being bullied, the victim. So I agree with what you're saying, Mr. Hardel. The bully needs a lot of help. I think this is the child's way or the adult's way of telling society that I need help. This is the way, this is the person's coping mechanism. And of course, this coping mechanism is actually destroying not only the person bullying, but the person being bullied.
All right. And now, in addition to the point where we said that bullies most of the time suffer from or have suffered from a form of abuse in the past. Sometimes it can also be where that people around them have been abused and they may not have suffered it directly, but they may just have followed the trend. In other words, that was the example that they saw, and for them, that was the way that it should be done. That's the way that they should be treated. That's the way that they should treat others. Right? Now, moving on. Again, you're looking at preventing bullying in schools there. Again, in a school, members on staff, teachers, alumni, depending on the institution, should also be educated as to the signs of bullying and how to recognize it in a situation where they don't know the parties. In other words, they don't know them personally. And just how to recognize it in others. Again, sometimes it's very subtle. Sometimes you don't see it. Sometimes it's not easily seen. Sometimes the one who's being bullied doesn't want to come out and speak up. So sometimes it simply takes somebody to recognize it and intervene for a change and for a solution. And many times that goes to show that a lot of bullying goes around and people don't notice. Either the one who's getting bullied doesn't report, or rather that person really lacking the self-esteem to defend themselves. So they simply let the situation go by. Right? And that happens, or one form that happens is in abuse. Be it physical abuse, again at home as well. Again, sexual. It may be at school as well. You never know. And that repeated action, form of abuse, lowering the victim's self-esteem. They can speak, but they don't have a voice. So that sense of self-worth, that sense of pride is diminished, and really they don't have a voice. So it's important that someone recognizes, or someone is trained to recognize traits of bullying, all right, and take necessary action. Again, that action could be reporting it. Okay. Again, it may not be that particular instance reported was true, but the mere fact that you shone some light on the situation, that again helps, because you never know when an actual bullying situation is going on.
Okay, for the victims, those persons who are being bullied, one of the things that you can do is to actually show minimal reaction to the person bullying you. So for example, most of the times they tend to attack you is because they expect you to maybe say, if it's verbal attack, they expect you to say something right back, so that they call it's like you feeding the whole attack. Or if they jump on you, they expect you to jump back and start something. So okay, she's saying something, okay, allow her to talk, I'm really not taking her on, this is really nonsense. And when the person realizes, hey, this person is really not taking me on, then that person will forget about you. Again, I don't know if somebody decides to punch you, whether you'll be able to just walk away. But if you walk away and you don't do anything, it's like you look like the winner. You look like you have the strength to move away from the bully. And again, in that way, the person loses. But then again, it takes a lot of willpower to move away from somebody who's attacking you.
Again, it depends. Again, yes, in a physical situation, especially. Most people have the tendency to strike back. Okay? And also, a lot of bullies, they feed on the attention that they get from others. So even when they've targeted somebody and someone tries to match them emotionally, in other words, that person invests so much emotion in the interaction or in the event, they really feed off that. It's like entertainment to them. And reentry is not the way to go about it. It's really not the way to go about it. Now, let's move on to the community. Again, listeners, we've reached our 9 o'clock time. So right now we go into overtime. And in the community, you don't have as much as a defense mechanism as at school, per se. I mean, at school you're protected, teachers, rules. Again, there are laws. There are laws. However, bullying becomes a bit more blatant, and those who do it have a lot more leeway. Alright? So, with situations, what is advised is that, again, if a situation occurs where that your rights are impinged upon and unfairly, okay, you advise that you, again, first of all, report it to your parents, okay, and if that is not sufficient, and if they see the need to, they may take it to the police. Okay? Again, you have people really thinking that because others are not in school, they're free to target them and really treat them in ways that they're not supposed to. Very unfair ways. Okay? So you find people sexually trying to interfere with others, trying to abuse others, trying to sometimes even accosting others. These things should not be taken lightly, and those who are the perpetrators should be not spared, should not be spared. Okay? Now, quickly, in the workplace, it's a little more, what expression would I use? It's a little more subtler.
Really?
Yes. In that it's not always expected at work. However, it happens. What do you think?
At work, again, as you said, it's very subtle. You're dealing with adults, and I expect to be treated like an adult, not like a child. So it's subtle. But again, I can assure you that bullying is happening in the workplace every single day.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, some of us tend to ignore it, but it happens.
It happens. Again, sometimes indirectly, where people try to thwart your attempts at, say, a promotion, or really try to cause some physical harm. Okay, so they place something, say, in your vicinity, so that maybe you can fall on or trip off or trip on, hurt yourself, something to make you sick.
Or if they notice that your programs are very successful, then they start bad talking your programs to make you feel bad and all kinds of things. So it really happens when they see you are doing good things. I mean, there is always a way to put a little damper on the good things that are happening.
Again,
so it happens in the workplace quite often.
Again, a lot of times it's caused by jealousy, and really people just not wanting to see others succeed. Again, these situations are present, and even when it doesn't seem apparent, it is up. And when we look at dealing with that, again, when someone is in a particular profession, there would be regulations and procedures to deal with such matters, and people who are victims are encouraged to document their experiences. Document it, because you need some form of proof. Document the time, especially if it's repeated, so you have a much stronger case, taking it to the necessary bodies that you would take to. Also, the victims are encouraged to get counseling. Okay, if it's something that is emotional, especially, or a secret, or something that they really know about you that can hurt you, or that you are hurting from, and they use that as a pawn to really push you around, right? I mean, seek counseling. Just deal with the problem.
Or you can also pull the person on the side and say, so and so, I noticed that when I did
Yeah.
this was your reaction. Persons tend to like to maybe, oh, really, it wasn't intentional. And instead of blowing it out of proportion, you could actually save the day by doing that.
Yeah, I agree. Now, again, in that situation, you encourage not to get emotional and try to match the perpetrator. Okay? Because that in itself doesn't always help. It doesn't really help at all. Let me not say always. Also, you encourage to have and maintain a healthy work-life balance. Okay? You shouldn't be working all the time. You should have time for yourself, time to relax, to rejuvenate your body, time for your family, personal space. And people who lack work-life balance, generally they're not very happy. They may be successful in their careers, but they're not very happy. And you find that unhappiness causes them to exaggerate a lot of situations that happen, that occur, and that really is a problem upon them, because you may find a situation where it's not really serious, but they exaggerate to such an extent and they make someone look so bad when that isn't the case. And lastly, especially in a work environment, don't expect to change the bully. All right? Again, if you're offended, if you're bothered, you make it known, you make it clear to whoever it is necessary. However, don't try to change the person. Again, yes, something may be wrong with the person doing the bullying, whether direct or indirect, in the workplace, at work. However, you don't need to try to change them. Especially adults, many times, even if you try, the point is they won't change. Okay? And you need to just recognize that and really remove yourself from the situation if it's necessary, or just deal with it. Okay? Now, as we wrap up, again, what I really want to encourage the listeners to be mindful of is that bullying exists. Don't ignore it. And you need to equip yourself and also your children to really be aware of it. And they need to know how to react if they're in a situation where they're being bullied. And even when they're bullying somebody else, you need to learn how to recognize that and discourage that behavior. Because as we said in the beginning, you never know the repercussions that could occur. And also you never know how a situation, an incident may affect somebody. Alright? How that may have traumatized a particular individual over the years, and really how their life may have been changed by it. Any last words, Mr. Lance?
Okay, listeners out there, we know that bullying is a very, 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 very serious problem, very serious issue. It's affecting our society. If you notice the level of suicide that we have, the rate of suicide that we have in St. Lucia, bullying is actually one of the contributing factors. So it is not only about the bully or the person being bullied, it is a societal issue, and all of us need to come on board to assist our nation.
Okay, now one final quote to wrap up. Some people won't be happy until they've pushed you to the ground. What you have to do is to have the courage to stand your ground and not give them the time of day. Hold on to your power and never give it away. Be assertive, be strong, and really resist all the people who are targeting you, and say no in a very convincing and strong manner. Now, listeners, we've reached the end of our show. Again, now we now move on to a few pertinent announcements. Miss Elias?
Again, listeners, we know that Youth on the Rise is about shouting out our young people, highlighting the achievements of our young people, and we are very, very proud indeed to say that we have some very good news to share with you. A few weeks back, we introduced you to Craige Joseph, a student at the Union Primary School, and we are happy to tell you that she is doing great things. Last week, Friday, Craige received the award of the most outstanding differently abled student, and we want to congratulate Craige and her school. Again, in the District 7, we have some very, very good news to share, and Mr. Hardel will tell you in relation to common entrance exams.
Yes. And many times, the top school, the top performing school in the island has always come from, or has been coming from a school in the north of the island. This time it's actually school in the south of the island. And the top performing school, top performing primary school in this year's common entrance examination is actually the PIE combined school. And to wish them, I'd like to commend them, everybody, students, teachers, staff, and congratulate them on that achievement.
And we'd also like to congratulate all the schools which the mean and all the students who went out there and they gave it their best. Good congratulations, guys, and we wish you all the best with your future schools, your secondary schools.
All right. Now, listeners, we've reached the end of today's episode. Again, tune in for next week's show, and remember to spread the word, invite more listeners, check out our page, Facebook, YouTube. We're on there, and keep spreading the love, and really bring more interested listeners and followers on, because we're all learning from each other. Okay? You've just listened to another episode of Youth on the Rise. Again, this evening, your host, Craige Hardel, co-host, Miss Elias. Good evening and goodbye.